Read me note one NS. Yes, I can hear. That's what I can see as your handle. Charles Chukudi, thank you so much. Chijioke Jeremiah, I really appreciate. Emmanuel Webo from Abakaliki, excellent. Moses A from Manchester, UK, thank you so much for joining on this. Charles Chukudi from Ebonyi State. Wow, it's interesting. We're seeing more people. Oh, great. Anambra is represented. Chinedu, thank you. All the way from Anambra, you are most welcome. And again, we have Moses. We seem to have quite a number of Moseses on our platform this afternoon. People who are cutting the course and ready to take the Israelites out of Egypt. Oh, thank you so much. Odira, thank you from Enugu. Matthew Tochuku from Abuja. This is heartwarming because the information had gone right round to be sure that people can connect, because we believe this is going to be explosive. This is going to just be great, as in literally great. We are plugged in. This is part of the Amadeo Business Summit webinar series, and we have been on this for we've had 2 sessions, and we have really based on the feedback we have gotten from different people we treated, and if you recall, this is just by way of a reminder to people who are new, and also to people who may have been on with us right from inception. On the 10th of December, we treated gap analysis and sustainable growth, gap analysis and sustainable growth. We moved on from there in this year, on the 14th of January this year, we treated gap appraisal and strategic. I keep saying sustainable. The first one in December keeps coming back to me again and again, but it was quite mind-blowing. We treated in 14th of January 2026 the gap appraisal and strategic business reinvention. And some way down this webinar series, we're going to be asking people to give some feedback on what they have really gotten from there, because we're more interested in seeing people literally transforming, themselves, transforming their businesses. Remember some of the things we discussed when we talked about the gap analysis and sustainable business growth, as well as the gap appraisal. A lot was shared by Dr. Oguchukwu, who is the Group Managing Director of Copen Group, and he did justice. It's not because of lack of ideas. I'm just speaking to so many things that were shared, but because they refused to honestly assess their current states. These were the things that we learned, we gleaned from the information we got over the last 2 webinar series of the Amadeo Business Summit. This is just going to be, there's so many things we went through. I just have about 2 minutes left on my little introduction before I call on the speaker for today. Surviving disruption is not about aligning your capacity. It's about aligning your capacity with opportunity. It's not about size. So big, large firms have gone down. Please let's note that as we get into this session, we have ground rules. I'm already noticing that a few of us are somewhat betraying the ground rules. Okay, so yes, we do have ground rules, and would like for each person to be mindful of those ground rules, because it helps for us to have more coordinated sessions and be able to listen to the speaker we have today. I'll just run right through them. At some point, we'll have them put on the platform. So please remain muted throughout the session while the guest speaker is speaking. Please put your microphone on mute. I have a few people who are speaking at the moment, but you're not the guest speaker. So that's part of the ground rules. We want to be sure we do not have distractions through the course of this, okay? You want to have question and answers session is going to be given. So if you have questions and you have contributions, we're asking, put them in the chat box. That will help for proper coordination, and then we'll be able to respond best on that. Again, the session is being recorded for documentation and learning purposes. So that's important that you know. It's also important that you have a stable internet connection, just to be sure that there's uninterrupted participation right through the course of this session. Okay, and then please respect the time allocations and the views of other participants. It's important to respect one another. It's in that place of respect we can best get to grow, learn, and thrive, of course. And then, of course, we want to maintain professional conduct. It's expected at all times during the session. The rules are there. And right now, about now, I will move straight to the introduction of our guest speaker. If you've not met him before, I would wonder whether you have been operating in this country. But if you have, I'm glad about that. So, but if you've not met him before, Dr. Chiefo Ejioforbiri is an accomplished investment banker. I mean, I met him over 2 decades ago. And yes, he does have well over 2 decades of deep, entrenched experience. I'm speaking because I'm speaking from the experience we've had with him over the years. All right. So real deep experience in the areas, working with individuals and organizations and institutions to drive sustainable growth and value creation. And he holds an MBA in banking and finance and has undertaken advanced executive education literally all over the world. Institutions from the Columbia University, New York, to the IESC Business School, all the way to China, Europe, international business schools, equipping himself with strong global perspective on finance, strategy, and enterprise development. Dr. Ejioforbiri is a fellow. He's also a professional member of several, and I mean several, reputable institutes, including, you just mentioned but a few, the Institute of Credit Administration, the Institute of Strategic and Human Capital Management, and the Institute of Management Consultants. His work spans investment advisory, leadership, development, strategic capacity, and building across so many sections, so many sectors of this great, of enterprise generally. Of course, he's the founding, if you've heard of Living by Design, the founding member, the founder of Living by Design. If you heard about it, then that's the man you're about to meet. The map is what he's called: mentor, author, and pastor. That's the man you're about to meet, through which he has guided thousands, and I mean literally thousands of professionals and entrepreneurs in building financially disciplined, really disciplined, purpose-driven, and scalable ventures. He also has founded a School of Mordecai. It's a leadership platform focused on strengthening decision-making, governance, and personal effectiveness. Please, with joy in your heart, I would want to welcome the one we call the map, Dr. Austin Chiefo Ejioforbiri. Sir, you're welcome to the program. I will be handing over to you at this time.
If you don't pay button.
like we're having a little challenge. Just please bear with us. While we're trying to sort out the challenges, there are a few technical challenges we're experiencing back end, but we are going to very soon have him back on board. So please hold on as more people are joining. I'm quickly going to run into other things. I was going to do that. So let me just fill in with more of what we learned over the last two sessions. So, I did say that in the last two sessions, we had the gap analysis and sustainable growth. And it's important that as we are going through this, peradventure, you have one or two people who you notice are not yet joined in. We only have 100 participants at this time. I'm sure that we are very quickly going to scale up to at least 300 from all the confirmations we got from people who want to be part of this. So this is a good time to quickly reach out to all the people who are meant to, who you invited, who you notice are not yet connected. This is the time to quickly reach out to them. So I think this break is helping those people to get quickly logged on so we can all participate in this session today. Quickly filling in, we also did talk about during those last two sessions on the ABS webinar. Please, let's keep our microphones muted. It's part of the rules. Let's keep our microphones muted, please. Now, we did mention, we gleaned a lot of information from the sessions, one of which was sustainable growth. I'm just going to be giving you nuggets from what we got over the last two sessions. Sustainable growth begins when business owners manage facts and not assumptions. That was when Dr. Oguchukwu spoke that it was quite impactful. They manage facts and not assumptions. It was quite pungent. And I see Jay Gloss saying that the Zoom, okay, our technical crew will attend to that. You're mentioning that some people are unable to join. The technical crew is attending to that. Thank you for that feedback. The back end is already working on that. All right. Very shortly, I'm just going to read one or two or three more facts, and then I will bring on our guest speaker. I think he is logged in and ready to deliver. Okay, so at this point, I think I should just quickly go in. I can see our guest speaker is logged on. I've run through his introduction. So without further ado, I would like to bring on Dr. Austin Chiefo Ejioforbiri for his session. You're welcome, sir. Please confirm you can hear me, sir.
All right. Sorry, I was unable to enter because you had exceeded your 100 limits. So, but I'm going to use my PS phone.
I'm sorry, sir, but it appears you've muted. Just give a second. Oh, great. That's him. Thank you so much, sir. I saw your face just now and I was like, wow.
Your face.
It's been a while.
Sorry. I want to just increase the volume back.
It's a terrible picture.
Excellent.
Oh,
Okay. Let me just quickly.
Thank you. What is?
It's not pushing.
Is that what is showing there? No.
Very soon we'll have him on. When something great is about to happen, it seems to get all sorts of attacks. But I'm sure that this session on funding your business really has something huge in the offering, and that's probably why we're seeing so many challenges creeping up all around the place. But I'm sure we're going to sort out everything very, very, very shortly. Very shortly. Again, you remember in the last session, we had bits like, the solutions that exist within your structure. Many solutions actually exist within your structure, within your people, and within your processes. We're encouraged to look inwards first before going to look at all the other things out there that you want to use to correct these issues that you find in your business. We advise look inward first. That was one of the things we gleaned. We also did see that most failures result from ignored gaps. So you've had some light bulbs coming up in your operations and you just ignored it. And we did see that those failures don't come from sudden shocks, but it was from those gaps that we've been seeing over a period of time that have been ignored. And because of that, that's where we see failures coming in from. Okay, we saw so many other things, products or services that do not meet future customer needs. If you're in that industry and your products and services are only meeting the current needs, then you may be running a losing battle. To do that, I'm just going through so many things that we gleaned over the last 2 sessions, and I'm sure some people are taking notes because this thing is critical. It's critical. These are businesses where we invest the bulk of the time that we call life, and it's important that we pay close attention to what we are doing at this time. Okay, I'm just holding in just a bit for our guest speaker. The challenges seem to be quite a bit, but I'm sure that those who are listening in right now, as I'm running through the several things that we got over the last session, you would have quite a lot you can glean from that. Okay. The other thing, profitability alone, listen to this, does not guarantee survival. Profitability alone does not guarantee survival. Relevance, capacity, and adaptability do. So profitability alone does not guarantee survival. Remember to keep your mics muted. It's only the guest speaker that is authorized.
You're going to be on. I'm going
to another place. Oh, Engineer Blessed, please keep your mic muted. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Fear of discovery is the most expensive reason businesses avoid appraisal. They're fear of what you will see, and they're afraid of what someone else would see. They're afraid of what they will see when they look inwards. So that fear of what they would see, what they would discover, is one of the most expensive reasons that why businesses avoid appraisals, but that is required. An unexamined life, someone will say, is not worth living. So there's a need for us to constantly examine ourselves against those objectives for which we, set up those businesses, for which we were called as individuals. Examine ourselves against those things, and against that examination, we're able to say, okay, we're doing well or we're not doing well. So depending on which of those play out, you must be open as an individual, as a business person. Remember, in one of the sessions before now, we're x-rayed at an individual level. If you remember that, we're also x-rayed at a business level. Was also x-rayed. It can also be taken to a national level, so that this gap analysis we've been treating is not unique to just the individual or the business alone. These things are applicable across board. I'm actually holding on for the guest speaker. Once he comes in, he's just going to take over immediately.
Yes, sir.
And excellent. Great. He's here. Please, can I have those hands applauding. I'm just all smiles now, sir. I'm just all smiles. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'm handing over right over to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Roque Obumi. It's been a long, long time the last saw.
It has.
Okay, I want to say a very big thank you to my boss, Reverend Chima, my bosom friend, Ike Chima, and the awesome staff that run
this one. You don't go open it, but
open group. Sam, your co-host, so help us to mute. Right, mute people who turn on their devices. There's a chain on, so you need to mute. And yeah. Okay, so once again, I want to say thank you. I'm very grateful for the invitation. My name is Chiefo. For those of you who may not know me, I do a few things. First of all, I'm a man of God. I'm a pastor. Pastor a small church called the Living by Design Nation. It's an institution overseeing the destinies of about 1,000 professionals and CEOs who are domiciled all over the globe. And the mandate we have is to teach people how to situate their lives on what a man called Solomon called the 7 pillars of wisdom. And I also serve in the head office of Fidelity Bank, one of the senior management staff. And that's where currently I am. So I'm grateful again for the invitation. My relationship with Reverend Chima has come a very long way. Because I'm joining a bit late, I may not have enough time to describe the size and magnitude of that relationship and what it has resulted, for me as a person. But I value him a great deal. I don't know whether he's in this meeting, but I want to say a very special thank you to you for the monumental strides you've established in us over the years and the consistency and integrity of the business you run. I value you a great deal, and everybody who knows me knows I say so. And likewise to my bosom friend, thank you, Chima. Thank you very much as well. Okay, so today, I have about half an hour or less left. I just want to share something very briefly with us. Over the years, I know what you want me to talk about, and but because of the person inviting me, Reverend Chima, I don't want to say things that he knows does not work. If he was not in this meeting, I would have been very, very generous with vocabulary. but with someone like him in this meeting, I don't want to say things that do not work. But yesterday when I was talking about your meeting, I said, what can I tell the men and women who are gathered here today that really has worked for me, worked for multiple thousands of others? What have I learned over the years in my sojourn in the corporate world and dealing with all kinds of businesses? One of the advantages we have operating from a city like Lagos is that because of the population of Lagos, you have the opportunity to mix up and to deal with a myriad of businesses. People who do all kinds of things, people who sell snails. But once you index the population equation, somebody who does not have a signboard, doesn't have an office, doesn't have a complimentary card, doesn't have any staff. But if you look at his bank account, it reports, sizable cash flow that those of his peers outside a city like this cannot boast about. So I've dealt with all kinds of businesses, managed all kinds of relationships for my institution, and I've come to a conclusion about what it takes for a business to survive, what it takes to make a business bankable, I mean, the host, Samuel, you're a co-host, right? You can go to the settings. There's somewhere in the settings where you can adjust those who are coming and going. We don't need a beeping sound to alert us. So remove that sound because this can be quite distracting. Sam, do you hear me? So do it now. So what makes an entrepreneur survive, succeed, and build a business that will last generations? And what makes a company bankable? What makes a company investor attractive? They are the things I want us to look at today. My second daughter, just got employed by the Ford Foundation. And I sat back asking myself, Ford? I know Henry Ford lived somewhere in the early 20th century, yes, 1914, thereabout, about the Second World War era. And I asked myself, and I said, how can a man build a business employing my daughter 100 years after he died? And that's truly what I believe the founder of Amadeo, Reverend Chimbe, has at the back of his mind. I know at this point in time in his life, he's no longer bothered about success. He's looking at significance, leaving a legacy, something he can be remembered for. He also is looking at a time when a Copen Services, a Copen Group, will employ Chifo's grandson 100 years after he's gone. I think at this point in time in his life, that's what he's looking at. And the only reason why he'll be setting up a meeting like this is because he's thinking about legacy and significance. And I want to thank him very much for that. Not too many people I know in this climate are doing this, investing in the next generation. So you're very lucky and fortunate to be in this meeting today. And on account of the kind of person he is, I felt I should spend time with you and make every second count. So no matter what you're doing, today, and if you don't mind, I just want to go to the dialog box and ask you to let me know what you do. I want to have an idea of the kind of people who are here. Are you self-employed? Let me know. Are you a business owner? Let me know. Do you have over a dozen staff? Could you let me know? You know, what kind of business, what kind of sector? I just want to have an idea of the kind of people I'm talking to. And that will help me know how to navigate around terrain. So, okay, so somebody says a patent medicine. I want to believe this is like a pharmacy shop, something like that. Okay, excellent. Any more? Just let me know what you do currently and if you're the Enugu paint manufacturer. Excellent. Okay, so while I wait for a few more to let me know what they do, you're a baker. Good, good, good. Lawyer, legal practitioner, real estate developer like Coped, and someone says I'm into real estate business, audiovisual. Excellent. So there's no concentration, the demography where into all kinds. If I've not even seen a business similar to the other, so we're all doing different things. Thank you very much. Now, I'll tell you some truths. Many years ago, in fact, yesterday when I was thinking about what to tell you, a call came into my phone. It wasn't a number I could identify. So I answered the call, and the person said, "Is this Dr. Chiefo?" And I said, "Yes." And he said to me, "Give me your account number." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "Give me your account number first, and I'll tell you who I am." I said, "I can't do that." Then he began to beg, and I said, "I cannot do that. I'll be violating my personal ethic to do that. Introduce yourself." He said, "No, that if he told me who he was, I won't give him my account number." So after a lot of pressure from him, I said, "Okay, I'll give you my PA's account number." So I sent him my PA's account number. This happened just yesterday, and he paid in 10 minutes afterwards, he paid in 1.2 million naira into the account. My PA called me and said, a certain bank paid him 1.2 million. So, and after he paid it, he called me back again. He said, have you seen the money? I said, can you now tell me who you are? Then he began to describe a very touching story. And he said, 2014, I lived in Enugu at the time. He said he walked into my office stranded in the bank I worked in at the time. And he badly needed a loan because he had used all his life savings, sold his properties. The last thing he has sold was his shares in GT Bank. Plowed into building a hotel, whose name I'm going to mention now, so you can be able to authenticate this story. So he finished building that hotel, and the last couple had finished. He had hoped that the money he had would be enough to build the hotel and get it running. By the time they finished the building, it had no money to furnish it with all the electronics needed. The air conditioning facilities, the refrigerators in all the 60 rooms. He didn't know where to get that money. He was stranded. Was even looking for food to eat. And here was a beautiful hotel in Independence Layout in Enugu, and yet cannot earn him a kobo because he needed a little more money to get it done. That was 2014, 12 years ago. So he said he heard about me. And then he walked into the bank, came into my office, and began to explain his plight. And when he had finished, I had to tell him the truth, which I'm going to tell some of you who are here today, because you've heard about Amadeo Business Summit. Like I told you, yeah, already imagine how you're going to get a lot of money when I'm finished speaking. So he told me how much he needed to get that hotel done, that he needed a loan badly. And I had to tell him the truth. And I said, not on account, not a problem traceable to the commercial banking industry, but because of the way our economy is wired. I said, most commercial banks, including the one I worked for at the time, do not invest in startups. They're not going to finance this business until there is some cash flow that can demonstrate that the business has capacity to generate revenue. Currently, you don't have one. And what built this hotel is not proceeds from this hotel. It's money you had elsewhere, some other business. So this hotel is a new venture, and the bank has no plan, no financial plan for it at the time. Remember, I said it was a bank I worked in 14 years ago. So I saw his face drop. I didn't like the look on his face. I saw a man who was so stranded. I'm sure he must have even borrowed money from his friends to get to that point. And I didn't know what to do. So I dropped my face on my table and I said, I can't send this man away. When this man leaves my office, this is his last bus stop, this is his last hope. What do I tell him? And that's going to lead me to the 4 points I'm going to share with you now, and I hang up. So I said to him, there are 2 things I'm going to do for you. Said, I'll give you the money I have as support for your business. And I said, and I will tell you, and I'll give you the wisdom I have that can help your business. So he said, he looked at me and I said, so I went downstairs, of course, back in those days, and I withdrew the money in my account, 240,000 naira at the time. And I came back and I gave it to him. And I said to him, of course, he knew 240,000 would buy back in those days. Maybe, I don't know how many refrigerators or ACs he could buy, but that was all. He had 60 rooms needed to furnish. I said, there's one more thing I'll tell you to do. I said, go to Albertina Electronics. Meet him, Chief Albert Ejioforbiri. Tell him I sent you. I'm going to try to lend you my goodwill with a client So bank on that goodwill and tell him I sent you and I asked you to request him to come see what you've done and supply you all the air conditioners and refrigerators you need in that hotel and allow you to pay from the proceeds of that hotel when it starts running. It looked impossible to him, but he left my office and then went to that place to spend the cash I had given him to buy one or two and then asked for the owner. And they met him. And amazingly, when he mentioned I had sent him, he said, okay, fine, let's go see your hotel. And he jumped into the car, went to the hotel, looked around at the whole place, picked up his number and called a guy called Tochuk. Why I'm mentioning names is so that you just understand I'm not telling you a folk story. And said to Tochukwu, you have my approval to give this man all the air conditioners and the refrigerators he needs to get his business started. And that was how the hotel opened up for business. So he said to me that I had never called him to ask for that money. Truly speaking, I couldn't even remember. And then he said when he met me last year, I came for an event in Enugu, I was invited. He came to greet me. I didn't even know who he was. So, but at yesterday, he woke up from bed and the Lord told him he needed to do it. And he didn't know why, but there was pressure on his mind. Say thank you to this man who set you up. So, and that was why. And he knew that if I told him I wanted to repay him, I would have said no. And honestly, I would have said no. And so he did that. Of course, jokingly, I told him, well, 240K in 2014 is not 1.2 million today. So you're still owing me. And of course, we laughed about it. But a few things to learn. And the hotel, by the way, is a hotel called Utopia Suites Independence Layout. So you could check out this story and find out if it's genuine. But why I'm bringing that story today is because this thing happened just yesterday before your meeting today. Because I was wondering myself, say, what I'm going to tell them today that Reverend Chime will not say, no, this doesn't work. And then that happened. First of all, I realized that, so two things. He needed to bank on, to invest, to lean on, to leverage someone else's goodwill in order to get that business to open. And he jumped into one. It wasn't what he came to meet at the bank on that day, but the look I saw in his face was a face I couldn't turn away. So I had to lean on wisdom in order to be able to solve a material problem. And all of my life, my career life, I've had to lean on this same wisdom to advance the business of my clients. So I make it a boast that I've managed all kinds of businesses and I've seen small businesses become great in my hands. It's been a consistent streak. But looking back today, I can understand the reason why. Because I work in an institution today that is very SME friendly. But every once in a while, you meet people like that man who come up with proposals, fantastic business propositions that are outside what we call a RAC, the risk assessment criteria of the bank. But you know this is a viable business. But maybe the bank has taken a position and saying, we're not going to invest in mining. We won't invest in XYZ. There are sectoral constraints, or maybe the bank's threshold for lending a particular portfolio is full, and the bank says we can't do it anymore. We've exceeded our portfolio allocation for transportation, and this guy is coming for a transport business. So I meet those kind of things every day, and every day I see a client sitting before me, and his jaw drops because for me I become his last bus stop. I lean on this wisdom, and it has always one way giving me an edge, giving me a counsel I can give to a client who has come to the end of the road. And so there are many of you here who are struggling with the ability to scale. Okay? You hear about the Copen story and you do want to be like a Copen tomorrow. But you're struggling with the realities on the ground. And you know you lack the capital to scale, you lack the goodwill to scale, you lack the knowledge of the sector to scale. There are a lot of factors that are militating against your growth. And the world is evolving so quickly that things are getting a lot more difficult, a lot more complex than it was 2014, back in the time I spoke about. So you're finding a business in your hands that instead of expanding is contracting. And there are new players coming into the market that are competing for your market share. You're losing market share every day. If that is your situation, if that is the scenario you're facing today, you need something more than just finance coming from an institution. You need a capital called wisdom. And wisdom, we are told, is the principal thing, is the principal capital every entrepreneur needs in order to be able to advance in business. Now, I'll tell you a story that many of you know very well. You know, universally, across different nations and continents and philosophies and ideologies, there is one man who has unified the subject of financial wealth across the entire globe. And he has been able to do that even across people of diversities of faiths and cultures. He has come to become the symbol of wisdom across the world. And the principles he deployed in his time is taught in Harvard University. I've been to so many Ivy League schools, and when I sit down there, the most frustrating thing I always find when I go to schools overseas, sitting down and seeing a lecturer tell me what I already know. Because most Ivy League schools who teach the laws of business, the laws of domination, the laws of industry domination and expansion and market segmentation, all of that, all derive their knowledge, distill their knowledge from this wisdom built by this man. And his name is Solomon. There's no man who has unified the subject of wisdom in this world like he has. The Muslims call him Suleiman, and so on and so forth across space. So today, I want to just pick out a few things that he taught and share with you how, by an intentional deployment of those principles of economics that he taught, you can change your situation no matter where you are today, from ground level, from ground zero. You can, I mean, just imagine for a second, if that guy left my office that day and he did not encounter wisdom, he would have gone and sold that hotel. That was the only way. That was the only thing left. That was the only thing left to do. Put it back in the market, and only God knows what would have happened. Maybe that would have been a better idea then, who knows? But so wisdom is a door you knock on, and it gives you multiple solutions, 1 million different ways of solving a problem. So let me share a few with you. How did this man stumble into wisdom? I will tell you, because some of you are in the same situation that he found himself in his time. History tells us that he was, I think, either the 7th or 8th or 9th son of his father, who had gotten involved in some dangerous relationship with the wife of his closest associate. And when they became public news, or to prevent from becoming public news, he killed the husband of this girl and married her. And eventually the news went public. It was a very shameful and disgraceful thing for the man who claimed he was very close to God at the time. And history tells us that in order to compensate this woman for the pain he had afflicted her with, he promised her that when he was dead and gone, her son would become the next king after him. And so when this guy was old and his time was coming to an end, the heir apparent, the guy who should have inherited this throne, his eldest surviving son, called his friends, called the party, and said, Dad is about to die. And we can't wait forever for him to die. So why don't you guys just anoint me king? And we come to read and say, yeah, he's been out of service for too long a time, and we need an active king who can get things going. So they anointed him. And then when the noise of the party about his coronation was heard all over the country, this woman went to the guy's pastor and said to him, this man broke my heart when he abused me and killed my husband. And then now he's about to break the only promise he made me and my son. The pastor said, are you sure he promised you that? It's a very tall order. This man is not an apparent for, he didn't prepare him for the throne. Kings back in those days, because economic expansion was weaved around war. The military and weapons of warfare were the tools of economic advancement in those days. So this guy, your son, wasn't trained for this kind of business. So while his elder brothers were getting ready for kingship in the Middle East at the time, a very volatile region, that back then up to today, your father sent this guy to Harvard Business School. That's not where he trained people who want to sit there. He said, that's what he promised me. He said, are you sure? I said, fine. Okay, let's go see him. So they enter into the guy's room and they ask him, did you promise this woman that this boy would be? The man said, I remember. So the pastor said to him, you have to keep your promise. And the man said, I'll do it. So he said, go anoint him, put him on my throne, put my crown on his head, and anoint him king in my place. And that's how this guy, just returning from Harvard Business School, found himself on a throne he wasn't prepared for. And then soon after, the guy's father was dead. Now, the problem with that job, there are some promotions that are above your competence and capacity. That's what the guy found himself. He said, how am I going to deal with this kind of situation? My father was a military general, but he sent me to Harvard Business School. The things I was taught in that school cannot answer the kind of problems I inherited from my father. Because his father had expanded the kingdom he built from Saudi Arabia down to the biggest empire in the world at the time, the biggest civilization. And he had all these guys as tributaries to the country. And they were all waiting for this man to die to declare independence. So he realized that the only way to sustain what his father has done was to mount a horse and lead his people to war. The Philistines were getting ready to declare independence. The Amalekites, everybody was up. And to make matters worse, in the country where he lived, everybody was murmuring, where did this guy come from? The son of this woman. They've come again. The guy who should be president has been fired by this David. Why is this guy so full of, stuff like that? So he wasn't popular at home. He had a crown and he said he did not deserve. And then all the surrounding countries were all waiting to declare independence. And the worst of it was he didn't have the equipment for that kind of problem. And there's some of you who are like that today, who are running businesses, and you have extraneous factors that are way beyond your capacity and capability, and you don't even know how to handle it. Anyway, so this guy went to God, prayed about it, and in that place of prayer, God blessed him with this wisdom. And the fourth thing I'm about to share with you now. In that place of prayer, God gave me a blueprint on how to run the Middle East and do it so well that in the 40 years his father ruled with military weapons. Can you see what Israel is doing? Can you see how much Israel is spending on military weaponry in order to maintain peace? Can you see how much pain they have been compelled to inflict on their closest neighbors? There are children who at 4 years old have lost all their parents, lost their families. And all they want to do is to avenge this. There's nothing you would tell them that will make sense. All they know is that they have one country called Israel that killed everything. And the stories about what their parents did to deserve it, they don't want to know. We have been orphaned and widowed by these guys. So they've had to keep reinforcing themselves militarily because they know they are surrounded by an axis of hatred. That's where Solomon found himself. But do you realize that for the same 40 years his father ruled, the guy governed the Middle East and did not have to fight many wars. Just fought a few of them. So how was he able to do that? It was through this technology called wisdom. Amazing thing. One of the things that God had taught him was, he said, he had gone and asked God, he said, what can be greater than weapons of war? And God said, wisdom is the principal thing. If you have enough of it, there's no problem you cannot solve. So God gave him a blueprint. And if you read the 3 books that he wrote, he dedicated one to families, to marriages, dedicated one to people like Reverend Chime, who want to move from success to significance. And dedicated people like you and I, who are looking for every opportunity in order to scale and rise above the gravitational pull of life. If you read those books, you'll find in those books, if you go to the 9th chapter of the book of Proverbs, you see his blueprints for civilization. There he wrote saying, and I quote him, he said, wisdom has laid her foundations and wisdom has raised her 7 pillars. So first of all, we know that wisdom has 7 expressions, 7 channels. It rests on 7 pillars. And if you have to thrive in anything you do in this life, if you learn to rest your family, your marriage, your business, your health on those 7 pillars of wisdom, there's nobody who can fight you. Like he demonstrated for 40 years, nobody. In the 40 years he ruled, all traditional enemies of Israel, we didn't see them anymore. The Philistines, we never heard about them anymore. They vanished completely, disappeared from the map until the guy was dead. How was he able to do that? Those 7 pillars. Those 7 pillars. Now, but I don't have the time to deal with them. But as he was coming to the end of his life, he was invited to one Amadeo Business Seminar where he met people who even these 7 pillars, 7 systems, 7 economic systems could not solve their problems because they were beneath the shield. They were like that man that came to my office in 2014 who had fantastic ideas, fantastic prospects, but what he was looking for was outside the thresholds of what was permissible for the financial institution in his time. So he had to go and update a revised version of what he had written. And in that book, in Proverbs 30, Dr. Kosi, can you find out there? Proverbs in the 30th chapter, that was the second, after he had written the 30th chapter of that book, he wrote the last one, that the first chapter, which he dedicated to women. Okay? But that 30th chapter, in the 24th verse, he began to say something very symbolic. And I want to end this conversation with it. He said there are 4 things on earth that are exceedingly small. Because can you get me to that? Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. So there are 4 things on earth that are exceedingly small. No, go to under like an NLT. Is it NLT? There's one that uses the word exceedingly, excellently. Now, that's what I'm looking for. They are little on earth, yes, but they are exceedingly wise. They are little, but exceedingly wise. So what this tells you is that no matter how small your estate is, no matter how small your circumstances are, no matter how small your business capital is, No matter how small your skill set or your experience or your expertise, your competences. And sometimes you are that small, not because you haven't worked hard, but that's how life found you. There are people who are born with some opportunities, others are not born with. There are some people who stumble into some opportunities, some are not stumbled. So it's not due to no fault of yours. There are people who are born small, people who are born big. It's like that. But here you are, struggling with the business, lacks capital, you can afford quality manpower. You are you are in an environment that is hostile to the future of that business, and you're struggling to survive. And you're looking at bills. The way you're operating, the location where you operate from, the landlord is moving the rents up, but you can't transfer the extra expense, those overheads to your customers because your competitors are reducing prices and your cost of operation are wondering, how in the whole world do I survive? So, towards the end of his life, Solomon began to write a letter to people like you. And he said, outside those 7 financial operating systems, there are 4 that can help a man that is beneath the shield. And he said, first of all, he said, one of them is the ant wisdom. And he said, the ants are very small. As we speak today, if there's an ant where you are now, you will have killed it without even knowing you have killed somebody. So for a creature as vulnerable and as small and tiny and irrelevant as the ant is, he said, there's an exceeding wisdom. Okay, thank you. So expand the slide for me. Thank you, Gloria. There's an exceeding wisdom that God has given the ants. Go to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so look at the 4 creatures. I have 3 minutes, right? Look at the 4 creatures. So the first is the ant, the second, the badger, the third, the locust. This is what I call them, the underdogs. Maybe you are there. And you know what? When I ask for the profile of some people, there are some of you who are like the Reverend Chime, but there are some of you who are, most of you, many of you are like these guys. The ant, the badger, all very weak creatures, the locust, and the last one is a spider, or the lizard, I think so. And he said, they are exceedingly small, but they are exceedingly wise. There's a wisdom in their DNA that God gave them to thrive, in spite of the limitations of size and capacity that they have. So he went on to describe them. Move to the next slide for me. He said, the ant is small, but there's something it does. He said, just hold on that slide. Let me read that for you. Because he get back to the ants. He said, though they are creatures of little strength, they store up their food in the summer. So what is the wisdom of the ant? Is the wisdom of preparation. Preparing for tomorrow ahead of tomorrow. So one way you can outcompete and outsmart your competitors is to prepare for tomorrow before tomorrow. Don't prepare for today, because today you cannot compete against them. But if you focus your attention on tomorrow, on next week, on next month, on next year, on 7 years to come, you can outsmart them. You're just learning to be there before every other person arrives. The first house I built in Enugu, the land was sold to me by Reverend Chima here. And I want to thank him publicly again. Because I remember when I bought that land from him, he saw I was struggling, a young man, starting life. And I can never forget for the rest of my life how one day he came and dropped for me 200 blocks. Was it blocks or bags of cement? One of those two. I think it was cement. 200 bags of cement. on the empty piece of land and drove away. That was seed capital I started that building with. So everywhere I go, you know how Jesus said, wherever this gospel is preached, this is my story. That's everywhere I go, I talk about this story. So that's how small and vulnerable some of you are here. But he said they've learned to prepare. Now, that land I bought, what made me remember that story is that land I bought, at the time I bought it, it was in what used to be outskirts for Enugu, where the RCC dockyard used to be, opposite the Napa, that's not how to describe that place. But anyway, it was empty place. In fact, when I came in there, when he dropped that cement for me, he motivated me to start building. But after I'd gone far, I realized that nobody else was building because it was outskirts and there were kidnappers all over the place. It was the Chimaroke era. And nobody wanted to move in there. So I was like their guinea pig. They wanted me to finish moving there. And if I survive, they start coming in. So by the time I realized that every other person who owned land there wasn't building, I had gone way too far. It was a journey of no return. So I continued and I ended it. Moving now, that was the problem. So my rent now expired. I said, how can I have a house and be renewing rent where I was? So one day I took a couple of stones, went to that place, anointed them with oil, and threw them there. And I said, nobody will shoot me here. Nobody will kill me here. My family will be safe. I'm not going to pay rent anymore. It was on a Sunday morning. I can never forget it. I came back from that place. I told my wife, let's start. She said, what? Go where? I said, let's go. We moved into that place. We were the only house in that entire estate. If you come there in the night, in fact, people stopped visiting me because nobody even wanted to visit you. That's how insecure it was. Oh my goodness. I can't forget that experience. But God in his mercy kept us. But what I'm trying to say is that, so I moved in there ahead of people. In fact, thanks to Reverend Ugo, he gave me the head start. And I moved in there. That prop made me go ahead of my competitors. Today, I look back. I no longer live in Enugu, but I look back and I say, wow, this man has given me a retirement home. This man has given me a house that I can wake up tomorrow. If my kids don't, if you take care of me, I go and fling it. And I live like whoever for the rest of my life. Yeah. But then he had little or no value. So that's the ant mentality. They understand how to invest in the future. So whilst people are, summer is vacation time, is it not? In the Western world, people work hard and save money specifically for summer, for the summer vacation. But these guys use the summer to invest in their vocation. That's what the ant wisdom is. So while everybody is vacating, is on holiday, they are working. Everybody. And you need to understand that, especially in our climate in Nigeria, there's a lot of time that you have. You have two, in every 7 days, you have 2 work-free days. If you add the states, for almost 2 years, you guys had Monday off. So you had 3 work-free days. One that's called sit out or sit down, something like that. And then 2 other. So 3 days in a week, that's time. Then you add, that is 3 times 52. That's 100 and, 160 or something like that. 160 days free. And then you add public holidays. Then you add the end of year. After Christmas, you're at work, but you're not at work. And the first 2 weeks of January, you find out almost half the year you're free. For the children, you have summer vacation, you have Easter, you have holidays, almost half the year. And then those who are in university who go on strike, almost half of the year is free time, vacation time for those who live in Nigeria. What are you doing with it? Are you investing like the ants? preparing for tomorrow? Or are you vacating like others? Sitting down like others, saying you sit down Monday, or you're resting, or today is Saturday, it's time to relax and go for a wedding and go for that and that. That time is critical time. If you know what you can achieve with just your vacation time in 1 year, the Saturdays and the Sundays and the public holidays, or if you know how much you can afford, do you know that you have your vacation time in 1 year is enough time to train to be a private to get the license to fly a private plane, not commercial plane, no. Be a private pilot for these small planes. You don't need more than 90 days of training. That's how much time you have, and it's wasting. There's too much time wasting in our country called Nigeria. So Solomon said, learn from the ants. Your biggest capital is your time. So work while others rest. Invest before the pressure comes. And build quietly. And win later. I love that. Okay, so take time and go through the rest of them. Okay, the wisdom of the badger, the wisdom of the locust, the wisdom of the lizard. These are ideologies that would help you scale. You will not understand the incredible capital you have resident in this principle. These financial operational systems. If you learn how to invest in them, you will always be a step ahead of competitors. In my 25 years of sojourn in the corporate world, I've sat with my clients. I have taught them these principles, and it's giving them an edge. They go back, they repackage their businesses, they come back, and the bank is struggling to finance them. If you invest in these things, there's no investor who doesn't want to be in bed with you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Okay, thank you very much. My time is spent, and I'm truly, truly sorry that I came in a bit late. You had exceeded your 100 limit, so I couldn't get in, and I had to get somebody to agree to leave so I can come in. But I want to say thank you again. Thank you, Reverend Chima, and the team, powerful team working with you. May God bless this great assignment. I mean, may the people who you are investing in come back one day and say thank you, like the kind of thank you I got yesterday for the job word. God bless you and have a good day. I'll take some questions if that's possible.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, can I say something before we take the questions?
Okay, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
My note is filled up, Dr. Chiefo. I want to thank you so much. You've blessed my life exceedingly and abundantly today. You've been doing that for years. I'm privileged to spend our years together 34 years ago, 1992. And we've been keeping in touch. Some few days ago, I wrote to you and said, I'm looking forward to coming to Lagos so that as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens. I wrote to you, and you replied that you are looking forward to the same.
Yeah.
And that is the nature of the relationship. Yeah. It gives me immense joy to always hear you because God has given you so much wisdom and so much understanding and grace to share it relentlessly and share it selflessly. So I am very, very happy that you humbly accepted to come and share with us. I will still write to you and let you know how I felt from so many of the wisdom nuggets that you dropped so effortlessly. And God crowned it for us that yesterday somebody showed up to let you know that there's a reward for what you are doing. And I see you also humbly serving in the bank and giving value to the bank in spite of the much you contain. So we are very happy. And I would like to, on behalf of my colleagues, to say thank you so much for humbly yourself, honoring us with your presence and sharing with us in depth. So I will still write to you and I will still get back to you. And I'm praying only one thing. You have so much that you are not scratched. So I look forward that this year again, we're going to invite you, please, sir, to be with us, and then we'll make more time, about 2 hours time, and then have you share with us.
Thank you.
Also physically, sir. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to very quickly ask if you have a question, please quickly drop it on the platform. We may not be able to take more than one or two. Again, if you drop it on the platform, we'll be able to quickly attend to the question and begin to bring this to a close. The community link has been dropped for you to also join the community. It has been dropped on the platform. So please, you can take advantage of that should you not be able to make those contributions you would like to do within this time frame. But if you have a quick question or comment, please do well to drop it on the chat box right now. We just have a few minutes and we will be wrapping up this session. Again, I'd like to apologize for the glitches. We're working towards, it's not our culture. We're working towards making sure this does not happen or repeat itself again. All right, thank you. It appears that this session is so well understood. We do not seem to have people asking questions, but people only. Okay, I have a hand up. Ambassador Ikenna Ezenwa, could you make it very brief? I think you may be the only person we may be able to give opportunity to. Very briefly, can we have your question?
Good afternoon. I want to first of all appreciate the guest speaker. In fact, pretty much so blessed. Thank you so much for what you have shared, sir. And I have a question. You shared the story of a young man who reached out and how you helped him today. The reward. How do we manage rejections, especially when you are setting out? Most of us, we have started something before, but people who reached out, instead of encouraging us, rejected us, and we have been battling to be on our feet again. So how we were able to manage rejections and how we were able to keep people.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That speaks to how do you handle rejection. And then we have, maybe I'll just add this to the questions. It's just popped up on the chats. It says, I have built my ecosystem for the last 7 years. I'm now ready to scale. I seek funding, but I would prefer a more African-based funder. A foreign one seemed to be interested, but they need me to register the business in the UK. My ecosystem is for Africa. How do I get old money to support this generation-based solution? Well, this looks like it requires more. And then we have one more question, and that says, please, can you speak more to the difference between the ant time and the ant season? So I'm going to hand over back to these three questions. One is speaking to rejection. How do you handle that? The other one is speaking to how he can get more, African-based funding. And then the last is speaking to the difference between the African time, the ant time, I beg your pardon, and the ant season. I'll hand right back over to our guest speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I like that question about rejection because I have been there too many times and I understand how you feel. So whenever I receive questions like that, I'm deeply touched and I want to address them immediately. There's a certain story told about a man. His name was Zacchaeus. He faced rejection for a different reason, not because he didn't have money. He had lots of it, but the source of his wealth was not considered ethical at the time. He made money in a business that people felt had extortionary tendencies. So he didn't have honor in society, and he wasn't liked. So one day, he picked up a passion that was not expected of people in the kind of business that he does. He wanted to meet Reverend Chimel. And I said, no, you can't meet this man. People are not the same kind of folks. Okay, you are 419. This guy does straightforward business. So he won't be able to see you. And the guy said, I must see him. So one day he went to an Amadeo conference where Reverend Chimel was speaking, but the crowd was so much like what happened to me today. Took me 10 minutes to get in because he had a limit for 100 and it was fully subscribed. So, and he tried to get in, he couldn't. And he told them, look, I have money. You guys need money. He said, no, not here. Reverend Chimel is not the kind of person that you can bribe your way. So when he found he couldn't get through to this man, and he desperately wanted to meet him, and he knew they won't let him in because of the kind of business that he did. He was rejected in that kind of circle. And I told him, go back to your fellow tax collectors, extortionists, and 419s. You know what the guy did? He said, okay, can I ask you a question? I said, what was the question? And he said, when Reverend Chimel finishes this program, where will he be going to? And they said, okay, we'll come back to you. And they went to ask, when he finishes this seminar, where is he going? They said, oh, we hear he's guest of University of Nigeria. They have another program. They're going to honor him with a doctorate at XYZ conference center. And he asked them, so what time is that program? They said, well, it's 3:30 now. I think it's like 6 p.m. in the evening. It's not yet there. Nobody's there yet. So he said, okay, thank you. So the guy left them and he drove to the conference center and he got there before everybody. It was 3 hours early. Nobody was there. Where he left, there were probably 1,000 people, capacity filled hall, and they didn't want him in. But 3 hours after, this hall will also be filled like the one he left. The only difference was that he'll be at the front seat waiting. And that's what happened. So when Chimel finishes his program, where he was not allowed to get in, and then headed to the venue where he was sitting in the front seat. Immediately he walked in, he saw that guy sit down there, the tax collector. He said, how did you get it here? I got in early. And he respected him, not because of his ill-gotten wealth, but because of the value and hunger he had for what Reverend Chimel carried. That made him willing to pay the price, humble himself, even though he had money and all of that. And he said, because of this thirst you have for what I have, I'm going to honor you by even visiting you at home. Let people say what they want to say. So how do you handle rejection? Become the difference. Leave competition. Leave all the struggle. Go ahead of time. That's the ant wisdom we're talking about. Study the trajectory. Look at history. Look at where things are evolving from. Go to study advanced societies. What is happening outside your city? Maybe there's happening in Lagos, but not happening in Enugu yet. Or happening in the UK, but hasn't come to Nigeria yet. Invest in that. It could be a scale. It could be a capacity that is not yet there. I know the funny thing. People have a way of resisting the future until the future steps in and kicks them out. I remember my father, when he bought his first Mercedes car, he insisted it must be the manual gear. And I told him, I said, Dad, there are new cars coming out to automatic gear. He said, Chiefo, forget those gears. I know it's your father talking. Nobody can repair those cars. Those guys who are buying those cars, in a short time now, you find them lining up in mechanic workshops. Nobody to. And he may have been correct then or wrong. In fact, he was wrong because eventually he had to humble himself to admit that he had been so outmoded and outsmarted by technology, and he had to begin to look for a car that had automatic gear system. So the future will always meet the present, and when they meet, the future will kick the present off. So don't compete with people. They will reject you. Carry your ideas. Preserve that baby in your womb, and go and prepare a nest in tomorrow. Build competencies and skills and capacities that are not trendy today, not even in demand today. Do you remember I don't know about now, but when I was in school, back in those days, if you were smart in school, you were told to go and study medicine or read engineering or read law or read accounting. Once you could put two and two together, you are academically advantaged. Your parents will force you to go and study those things because those were the trendiest courses at the time, and that could put money in your bank account and get you the good jobs. How about now? What advantage of studying law give any human being? And that with due respect to all the lawyers who are here, or studying accounting. Okay. So back in the days, I want to be an accountant. But hey, what advantage? In fact, the only profession still struggling to remain relevant is medicine for those who study and go abroad doing, not in Nigeria. So what happened to those courses, those trendy courses? The future met them and kicked them out. And suddenly you're hearing people saying, my son will say he's an ethical hacker. I said, what kind of course is that? Things that did not exist in our climb. But here we are today. And these guys are studying these things, and they are entering and they are kicking out all the traditional accountants and lawyers and doctors and so on and so forth. What happened? The future. So where you are rejected, don't struggle. Don't complain. Don't feel bad. Just go ahead of them. Go into tomorrow and go and wait for them there. And they will call for you. Okay? Thank you very much. So I have one more. What's the other? So I've answered 2 questions, right? So the last one. Okay, so the person asking me about the difference between ant time and ant season, I honestly do not know. I don't recall separating the two. Okay, so the scripture says time and season, time and chance happen to all men. You know, so everybody is born with time capital. Everybody is born. That's the one universal capital God gave all men, and that is time. And time comes before chance, which is opportunity. Long before your opportunities come in life, you will have traded with your time capital. So opportunities, when they come, they happen for people who have traded with their time capital, use their time to build skills and competencies, apprentice under a reverend chamber, and develop the capacity to convert opportunity. Because opportunity, when it comes, there are people who see it, I don't know what to do about it. So time even helps you to develop the capacity to recognize the opportunity when it comes. So you can come, I don't even know it's an opportunity. You can even kick it away. So use your time to develop the competencies to recognize chance and opportunity. And then use it to develop the capacity to know how to convert opportunity when it shows up. I mean, if, for example, I had the competencies that I have today, when Reverend Chime sold me that piece of land, I was told him, can you give me 4 more? Can you imagine if he gave me 5 more? Then I'm sure I might be in the White House with Donald Trump, having a better time than having now. See, that's all that happened. You know, I didn't have the competency. So use your time capital and then you have your getaways in life. So somebody said, I've built my ecosystem for the last 7 years. Powerful. Powerful. That's the low-cost wisdom. Okay? We didn't have time to look at it today. I'm now ready to scale. Powerful. And I'm seeking funding, but I prefer a more African-based founder. What's your name? Let me see. Tochukwu Ono. You are missing out something though. If you have built an ecosystem, you have all the funds you need now. Which other fund are you looking for again? 41 seems interested. Oh, no. You're getting wrong. Oh. That ecosystem is money. It's the biggest capital accumulator in the world today. Can I tell you something? This I'm telling you is not bankable principle. I just want to use it because it will resonate with you very easily. This ecosystem we've built. Let me just give you one example. And I'm not saying you should use it, but I want an example that will resonate with you. So you understand what to do with the ecosystems. This ecosystem we've built is enough for the man that said, I don't remember how in local language, the man that said, my time has come. Who can interpret that for me in Yoruba? Excellent. So take that ecosystem to the man that said Emiloko, and I don't think you worry about money again for the rest of your life. Okay, well, I've just used as an example to show you the power of ecosystems. So there are 1 trillion things you can do if you understand the power of what you've got. There are people who are looking for the platform you've built to express themselves, to express their products and their services. And so it's to sit down and learn how to convert the opportunities inherent in the ecosystem you've built, if it's really what you're talking about. But I run out of time. So thank you very much. I do wish you all a very good day. Bye-bye.
And again, thank you so much to the MAP, mentor, author, pastor, Dr. Chiefo Ejioforbiri. Thank you so much for all the time and the deep sharings that we have gone through. I also have a lot I've taken down personally for myself and, for where I work. So I really want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to our guest speaker and to let everyone know the platform is still available. If you want to join the community, just look on the chat group. You'll see the link there to join the community. And do know that the next session we'll be having will be in the month of March. And that's going to be on the 11th of March, Wednesday, 11th of March, 2026 by 10 a.m. The difference this time around is that it's physical. So it's an ABS, Amadeo Business Summit masterclass. It's physical. It's going to hold at the Amadeo Event Center, and that's located in Enugu. Of course, everybody knows this, just behind the Elim Plaza, Ibano Tunnel, and that's again, it's on Wednesday, the 11th of March, 2026 by 10 a.m. Do mark it on your calendar and be sure to invite others. So we're building a rich network of people. Don't worry, you will see it shortly. It's being shared. The screen is being shared right now. Okay, and the community is also on the platform. So take advantage of this, note it on your calendar, and be sure that you invite many others to be a part of what is going on. A lot has been shared today, and I believe that it's impactful. I again apologize for the gaps we experienced today. It's not our culture if you've been past the last 2 sessions. And this is the 3rd session we're having. It's the boardroom, leadership, governance, decision making for business growth. That's what's going to happen on the 11th of March 2026 at Amadeo Event Center. So having said that, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone. We'll be wrapping up right now, and I would like you to share this information to other people. Let them know this is what is happening, and it can only get better. So thank you, and God bless you. Wrap it up right now and say, see you at the boardroom. 11th of March, 2026. Thank you, and God bless you.
The recording has stopped.